And my boyfriend comes out, and I'm looking at him. He is as white as a ghost. And he looks at me and he goes, "Morgan." Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be my second video. I'm going to be telling the story about how I lost my brother. And it's not just my brother, it's a very serious topic. So yeah, I'm going to apologize if you hear my dog whining. She is in the cage, but there's nothing I can really do about that because if she's out, she's gonna be on the bed, and yeah. So let's just get into the video. So about a year ago, in January of 2018, there were 2 days that were very eventful. So I'm kind of gonna give a background about all of the people. This story involves my brother Ethan, my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's brother. So let's just get the background over with. So when I was younger, my brother smoked a lot of weed, and my parents didn't like it. He was kicked out of the house, and obviously he was brought back in like the very next day or like the very next 2 days. But yeah, both of my brothers were potheads, to say the least. And so that's about them. Now my boyfriend, I had known that he had experimented and smoked weed, and then about our sophomore or junior year, I found out that he had also been doing pills. And that's where it was left. I wasn't okay with either of the two, but he, promised he wasn't gonna do it again. But obviously, when we get later into the story, it'll make a lot more sense of why it wasn't just, I'm not gonna do it again. It was more than that. So that's the background about my boyfriend and my brother. So now, January 6th of 2018, which is also my boyfriend's birthday. He would have been turning 18, or did turn 18. I stayed at his house till about 12 o'clock midnight, and me, his brother, Fernie, and Fernie's girlfriend at the time all went to Walmart to get my boyfriend his favorite like chips and candy and like a card for his birthday and a cupcake, and we came back. So by this time I knew that my boyfriend was doing heroin, and I know when you hear heroin you hear needles and you hear all sorts of like scary things, and not that what he was doing was any better than needles. He wasn't using needles to my knowledge. He was using foil and pens and straws to smoke it. So by this time I knew exactly what it looked like to be on heroin. I knew all the signs and symptoms, everything. I can pick out a heroin addict from a mile away, literally. So on January 6th, like I said, we went to Walmart and got all this stuff for his birthday, and when we came back, I could tell he was messed up. He was nodding out, he was just not acting right. So around 2:30ish, I left here and went to the gym near my house, and I stayed for about 30 or 40 minutes. I went home, got undressed, went to bed, and about 15 minutes later, I get a knock on my door. My dad says, "Morgan, Jose's on the phone and you need to call him." So immediately I was like, okay, maybe I forgot something, maybe something happened, I don't know. So I call him, and his exact words to me were, "Fernie is not breathing." At this point, I knew something was wrong, and he told me we were just playing Xbox and we were eating candy, and I guess he choked on candy. So immediately I get dressed, run down my steps, jump the steps outside of my house, bolt to my car, and drive all the way here to his house. And when I got to Walmart, I could see nothing but red flashing lights around their house. So I get here and I pull in and I go straight to his mom and dad's room, and I'm like hugging his mom, trying to like calm her down. asked what was going on. She said, I don't know, he just told me he wasn't breathing. His dad and his little sister were both upstairs with him and Fernie. And paramedics were here, obviously. And a paramedic came downstairs and said, ma'am, what did your son take? And she said, the only thing I gave him was like nighttime medicine, like NyQuil, to help him go to sleep because he was complaining that he was sick. The paramedic looked at her and said, I need to know everything he took. We just had to give your son Narcan. Narcan is basically a drug that is shot up through the nose to reverse an opiate overdose. So immediately I knew that all of my suspicions were right. I had been suspicious for months that him and my boyfriend were doing drugs, but no one would believe me. No one. I would tell his parents, I would tell everybody, and they'd be like, oh no, Fernie won't do that. Fernie would never done that, but yeah. So we were rushed to the hospital to be with his brother. Obviously, his brother tells everybody what was going on, and from that point, we spent from 3 a.m. until about 9 a.m. in the hospital. After about 9 a.m., we took Fernie's girlfriend home, and we came back, and he was already here, and, you know, basically, my boyfriend kept telling me, like, they weren't doing anything, that everything was just, he had choked on candy. And finally I looked him in the face and I was like, listen, I know what Narcan is. You cannot sit here and tell me that you guys were not doing heroin up here. And he admitted, and then he was very distraught and upset throughout the day. And later that evening, when Fernie's girlfriend came back, we, you know, went through the trash, threw all away the lighters that we could find, anything and everything, foil, everything thrown away. So, Fernie is like a brother to me, so this was very scary. But what happens next is even more scary and even more upsetting. So, the very next day was a Sunday, and my boyfriend and his family own a restaurant here in town, and I worked there on Sundays to help out. So, Sunday morning rolls around, and my boyfriend's mom calls me, and she says, hey, would you mind just coming to the house and sitting with Jose, because he's starting to feel sick. If you don't know, when you stop taking heroin, your body goes through withdrawal, and you get very sick. You know, you can be dizzy, cold chills, sick, throwing up, you know, not wanting to eat, nothing. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. I got up, got dressed, walked down my stairs. Key point. I put my hand on my front door. And as I went to open it, in my head I thought, I'm gonna go back and talk to Ethan. And for some reason I just didn't. So I was like, okay, whatever. I went out of my door to my car, came here to my boyfriend's house. At this time, we had taken the mattress from in this room downstairs so the boys could sleep in the living room, because this room was just too much for them. For my boyfriend. This is my boyfriend's room. It was too much for my boyfriend. So we fall asleep, and at like, I don't even remember what time, to be honest with you, between 12:30 and 1 p.m. I hear the front door open, and his mom and sister come rushing to the door, and she is just saying, Jose, wake up, Jose, wake up, Jose, wake up. He wakes up, and I could tell she was very upset, and she's like, you need to come here right now. And she took him into her bedroom, and his sister was sitting on the couch with me, and I thought, oh my god, what happened to Fernie? Like, what happened? I kept asking his sister, you know, what happened? Is it drug related? And she said, kind of. And I was like, well, what happened? She was like, I'll just let them tell you. At this point, I hear the bedroom door open, and my boyfriend comes out, and I'm looking at him. He is as white as a ghost, and he looks at me and he goes, Morgan, Ethan died. And I lost it, as one would. My oldest brother was gone. how do you process that? So he comes out and sits beside me and is comforting me. I'm hysterical, obviously, screaming, crying, asking what happened. Was it wreck? Did somebody hurt him? You know, I'm not thinking overdose at all. One thing I do want to mention is 2 weeks prior to his death, he went to my mom and he sat her down and he said, "Mom, I'm into some things. I need to go to rehab, and I found this really great rehab in Florida that I really want to go to." And he was planning already to move out with 2 of his other friends and go to New Jersey and live with them. And my mom just said, "Why don't you just try moving away?" He never specified what drug he was doing. He never said that he was into heroin. He never said anything. And my mom was just terrified that if she let him go to Florida, if something were to happen to him, she couldn't get to him. It wasn't as easy as picking everything up and going down there. Because if something were to happen to him, you have my mom, my grandma, my dad, my grandpa, my other brother Caleb, me, and my sister. That is 7 people that are going to want to go. So there's that. Back to the story. So I am sitting in their living room, a mess, and my boyfriend's mom calls my dad, and I can hear my dad through the phone screaming and crying. He wasn't trying to be rude, but he was like, I don't know, and he hung up on her. So then at this point, Fernie comes through the door with his girlfriend, and I says, we gotta go. And I was like, will you come with me? Will you come with me? Will you come with me? And he was like, yeah, of course. So we get in the car, and we start to my house, and a song put on the radio, and I don't know who it's by, but it's called Lights Down Low, I think. Is that the song? This was the song that was playing, and I, to this day, cannot listen to that song without breaking down because it just reminded me. So we pull up to my house, and there are already cars outside of relatives, and up our neighbor's driveway there is police, there is a ambulance in the back, and people just everywhere. In my head, I was thinking, there's still a chance. He's alive. Maybe he choked, maybe he fell. I don't know. He's alive. There's no way he could be gone. I sprint. My little sister was outside. I ran to her first, and all she could say was, "Ethan's gone. Ethan's gone." And I sprinted inside, and my grandparents are there. My grandma was screaming in pain, and my dad is leaned over a chair. My aunt and uncle are on the couch crying. My mom is in a chair just blank. My grandpa is blank. And then the next person to arrive was other brother Caleb. He came through the door, our front door, straight back into my brother's room, to my brother's dead body, basically. And he was a mess. My brothers were best friends. They're only they're maybe less than 2 years apart, a little over 2 years apart. They are very close. Very close. So, just shock. That's all I could think was total shock. What just happened? I have now experienced 2 days and 2 overdoses. One lived and one is gone. Total. Just gone. And the next week was a complete blur. Obviously, there was his viewing, and let me just tell you something. The viewing, there were so many people. My brother was a very liked person, a very loved person. He was friends with everybody. Literally everybody. I mean, we had a break. We had from like 2 to 4, and then from 4 to 6 we had a break, and from 6 to 8 those were the 2 times she could come for the viewing. During the break, we went to my boyfriend's restaurant, and they gave us, you know, food and gave us kind of a place to chill, and then we went back. Me and my boyfriend got back at exactly like 6:15ish. The line was out the door, down the steps, down the street. That's how many people there were. It was insane. During the whole viewing, I stood by his casket, and I had never seen a dead body. I've never lost anybody. So for that to be my first dead body was just nuts, and I felt this need to protect him because I was so caught up in the fact that my boyfriend was doing it and trying to save him that I didn't see my brother's own struggles. So I felt like I didn't do what I needed to do to protect him and to make him feel better, because he was very depressed. He had once told my mom the only reason he hadn't killed himself was because of me and my little sister. If it wasn't for us two, he would have done it. So it was just, there are no words. I felt like I had failed, that I was so caught up in my boyfriend and, you know, chasing him around that I missed it. I was so worried about chasing my boyfriend that it didn't occur to me. I always knew that my brother had done drugs and probably had experimented with heroin, but it just never crossed my mind. And I felt like I failed. The last time I talked to my brother was the Thursday right before it happened. My mom had been in the hospital for gallbladder attacks, and I went to the hospital to see her, and my brothers were there, and right after my brothers went to eat at my boyfriend's restaurant, I showed up and I was talking to him about how my boyfriend was on drugs. I'm like, what did I do? Like, how did I fix it? And he said, Morgan, there is no saving him unless he wants to be saved. Take me, for example. Which was nuts. Really nuts. And last thing he said to me was, Morg, I love you. And of course, you know, I said I love you too. And that was the last time I talked to him. The very next time I saw him, he was lifeless in a casket. So, throughout this whole thing, my boyfriend swore down to me that he would never do drugs again, that he didn't understand it. He told me that my brother, 2 weeks before he died, messaged him on Facebook and said, dude, I'm done. I'm not doing it again. I'm gonna get the help that I need. I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And before viewing, they usually, well, I don't know how it is, but for us, they let us come in about 40 minutes before everybody was supposed to arrive. And my boyfriend came with me, and they kind of gave us just our time to see him and, you know, get our time before we had to, you know, greet everybody and see everybody. And me and my boyfriend sat in a chair, and I kind of let my parents and my grandparents just do their thing. I was nervous, obviously. It's very nerve-wracking. And my boyfriend, I could tell he was sitting on a chair. I could tell he was sweaty, he was nervous, and he was very upset. And he ended up bolting out of the room, and I went out after him, and he said, that should be me in that casket. It shouldn't be Ethan, it should be me. He told me 2 weeks ago that he was done, that he wasn't doing it again. And now he's gone. How can that be? And that broke my heart. I mean, obviously, it really did. And if I'm being honest, my boyfriend told me that the hit that Fernie took was supposed to be his. He should have been the one that overdosed. And he wasn't. He got lucky. I don't know if it was supposed to be a sign to him, like, wake up, stop. That was supposed to be his hit. But hearing him say that it should be him, that it shouldn't be Ethan, was just terrifying. I at that time didn't understand. So it was to the point that it was so bad that I couldn't stay at my house. My brother's room was directly under my sister's room. His bed was directly under my sister's bed. Me and my sister have a room that's like split. It used to be one big room, it's split. His bed would be directly under hers, but his whole room was under both of ours. I couldn't sleep at my house because it was too much. And I knew I had somewhere to go, that I didn't have to stay. So I came to my boyfriend's house and I stayed for about a week. And you know, it was just, throughout life, you lose grandparents, or great-grandparents, or sometimes great aunts and uncles, or even aunts and uncles. And yes, it's very sad, and I'm not taking that away from anybody, especially if you lose, you know, a grandparent that was very close to you. But when you lose a sibling, it is so much different. Your sibling has been there from the time you've been born, or you've been there from the time they've been born. And to lose that, it's just gut-wrenching. And it changes you. From the moment those words came out of my boyfriend's mouth, instantly changed. I went back to school, and I was terrified to go back to school because I was going to be looked at as the girl whose boyfriend was a drug addict, and whose brother was a drug addict, and whose brother's now dead. I was going to be known as the girl with the dead brother who did drugs, and it was scary. And I kept getting comments about how they couldn't believe how okay I was. And I wasn't okay. But I didn't want somebody to see me cry at all. But it just, I don't know. I'm just the type of person, like, I don't like people seeing me cry. You know, it was awful. So bad. So, the lesson that I want everybody who's watching to learn is that you never know. My brother did not look like a drug addict. My boyfriend did not look like a drug addict. So you never really know. You have to pay attention. And I know that everybody has this just light around drug addicts about how they're bad people and they're lazy and they don't want to do anything and they're ruining things and they're stealing jobs from people and just spending their money on drugs. And that's true. But at the same time, if that is your family member and you choose to disown them and look down upon them, you will regret it. That is your blood. That is somebody that you love, even if they do wrong. And they need help. My boyfriend has never had the best support system because there was a lack of knowledge about it. From the time that I knew he was doing drugs until now, I busted my ass with research and how to tell if somebody's on drugs. I can look at your pupils and know if you're on heroin. I can look at how you're sitting and know if you're on heroin. I can see how your hair's standing and know if you're on heroin. I can tell just by the way you breathe, the way you walk. If you're on heroin, I know it. We go to Walmart and I see people, you're on heroin. Or you're doing it. I just know. Because I dealt with it. I am 18 years old and this is my life. My life is consumed by heroin. I've never done heroin. at all. And it's crazy. This is what I meant by like, oh, my life's like sort of crazy. It is. I'm 18 and this is something I've had to deal with and still deal with. My boyfriend and I broke up in like April or May. And he has another older brother who was in California at the time. This brother came back and my boyfriend broke up with me. He was back on drugs. He was seeing other people. So, yes, cheating on me. And in a very messed up spot. He was messed up from seeing his brother die and from seeing my brother. He got back into drugs. We broke up. And then we got back together in about July or August. And I had to pick up the pieces again. After losing my brother, I picked up the pieces again and stayed on him. And I have been and will always be the only person who understands him in and out. And I have never done heroin. Never. I know the mind and the life of a drug addict. And I'm not a drug addict. And I can proudly say that my boyfriend is about 4 months clean. I was ready 4 months ago to leave him. I was done with it. I was tired of it because when he was on drugs, he was doing things he shouldn't have been doing because you're not in the right state of mind. So I was done. And then all of a sudden, he called me and he said that, you know, first we had tried everything. We had tried drug testing him and catching him. I went to police to get him busted because at that point I would rather see him in jail than in a casket. That was point blank period, end of it. And when all else failed, I was done. I was ready to walk away. I had lost my brother. I was not gonna be here when he died. When my boyfriend was, he was gonna die. And I was not gonna be here for it. Because I couldn't. I had gone through too much. And the day after, I literally told his cousin, my mom, like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. When I get up the courage, I'm out. He told me that he was in a kind of like rehab. He had to go to Morgantown, West Virginia, to a clinic and go to counseling, and then he had to go to meetings. And he is now 4 months clean. He has worked his ass off, and I'm very proud of him, and it makes me feel a lot better, and our relationship's a lot better. So, what I want is that for people watching this to know, you know, don't give up on those people at all. Just don't. They need you. They need somebody to listen to them. Even if you're the only person in your family and you go against what everybody else thinks and you help them, you won't regret it. Because I'm very proud of myself and I will brag about that I am the number one person who is by him. I got mad at him so many times, but I never, ever just, you're not worth it, whatever. I stuck by him, even though I didn't want to, because let me tell you, I was going to leave, but when he told me about the rehab stuff, I still wanted to leave because I didn't believe it, because everything else had failed. Everything. But I thought, you know what? No, I've made a promise when my brother died that I was going to stick by him, that I was going to help him, that he was going to get clean, he was going to live a good life, he was going to have kids and a wife, even if that wasn't me and with me. I stayed, and he is so completely different. He is so much happier. He has his struggles, but he goes to his meetings. Right now, he's at a meeting. He has a sponsor that he calls every day, that he talks to, that when he gets frustrated or starts to crave heroin, he can call, he can talk to. He's doing so much better. It's insane. There is hope, but you just have to keep pushing. And if you have a loved one or a significant other that is dealing with this, you can't change them unless they want to change. Something has to click in their mind for them to change. I'll tell you right now, his other older brother, not Fernie, there's another older brother, he is what got them started on drugs, and he has not quit to this day. His parents have done everything to make him stop, have paid for things, have sent him places. He'll stop for a month and then he gets right back into it. He doesn't want to change. That's a simple thing. Is he does not want to change. He likes the life he's living. He likes to smoke heroin, and there's nothing anybody can do about that at all. My brother wanted to change. My brother just didn't get out fast enough, and my life is still upside down because of it. I miss my brother so much. My brother won't be a part of my kids' lives. He won't be at my wedding. He wasn't at my graduation. He wasn't here for my 18th birthday. He wasn't here for my first day of college. He's just not here. Nobody should have to go through that. If you are dealing with somebody, my heart goes out to you, and you can always message me. And I can talk to you, I can help you understand and get through it. If you have a loved one that just simply just not ready, I can talk to you about that too. Because I've been there. My boyfriend wasn't ready for months, and I had to deal with it. I can talk to you and make you feel somewhat better, I hope. And if you are watching this and you are doing heroin, I will talk to you. If you want to admit it to me and talk to me, I will talk to you because I believe in you. I think you can get clean, but you have to want to get clean. I can't make you get clean. Your mom can't make you get clean. You just have to want it, and you have to do it, and it's gonna suck, and you might fail the first few times, but you will get back up on your feet if you really want it, and you will power through it. It is not a life to live. Could you imagine your little sister not having you? Your mom not having you? My mom lost her firstborn. Do you know what it's like to watch your mother go through that? Your father go through that. My dad was the one who found my brother. He has that image burned into his head. My dead brother. And it sucks. Knowing that I almost went back there. Remember I said I put my hand on the doorknob of my front door and thought, I'm gonna go talk to Ethan. If I would have turned around, I would have seen my dead brother. If you're doing it, you need to know that there's fentanyl in these things. That is what killed my brother. One little dose of fentanyl, stop shot. You're out. And if you think that addiction isn't a disease, you don't understand it. You can't be closed-minded. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to understand. It's not just as easy as just, I'm done. If you smoke cigarettes, when you stop smoking cigarettes, you get sick. If you drink coffee continuously every single day, or if you drink soda every single day and you stop, you get sick. You get headaches, you get jittery, you get agitated. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, just a different drug. You have to be willing to understand them. If you're watching this video and you're a loved one of a drug addict, just be strong. Keep educating yourself. Keep on top of things, understand things, and the signs and symptoms, and just love them and support them. If you're a drug addict watching this video, think about your family. Want to change. I believe in you. You can change. It's gonna suck. I've seen it. But you will be okay. Trust me. You will be fine. So that is the story about how I lost my brother and my experience in life with heroin. And I hope somebody took this message, even if it reaches one person, and they take it and they run with it and they help somebody else. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. And go follow my Twitter, which is also in the description down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!